Now to the next topical issue presented by Deputy Desi Ellis to the Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine on the need to establish a national food bank for the 32 counties. Deputy Ellis.
Minister, it is believed that globally 1/3 of the world's food goes to waste. Unsurprisingly, the bulk of that waste happens in the Western Hemisphere, in Europe and the United States. Of course, to address global hunger fully, we need a radical shift in the distribution of wealth. But more locally, we can also help to ease the suffering of those currently economically oppressed by putting in place an infrastructure which can redistribute food to where it is most needed and save it from the bin. Across Europe, €1 billion of food is redistributed through food banks every year. This equates to around 33,000 tonnes of food, reaching 5 million people and making up 776 million meals. This saves businesses money, charities money, as well as paying for meals they are already serving, and it puts food on the plate for many people who are seriously suffering, particularly in this economic depression. A food bank rescues good quality surplus food that would otherwise have gone to waste and sends it to charities and community projects. Fair Share is a large food bank in Britain. It only redistributes food inside its best before and use by date. In 2012, they rescued 3,600 tonnes of food, which would have otherwise gone to landfill. Fair Share contributed towards more than 8.6 million meals in 2012, which equates to feeding 36,500 people a day. This food is delivered to a broad range of grassroots organisations all across the UK, including homeless shelters, day centres, women's refuge centres and children's breakfast clubs. We have organisations like this in Ireland, such as BA Food Bank and Crosscare Food Bank, as well as a number of community projects in the north of Ireland. But there is no national distribution centre, and despite great work being done, the maximum capacity for sourcing food and rescuing it from waste is not currently possible. Some believe that a national food bank distribution centre would work with major supermarkets, wholesalers and others on the supply chain, and could massively increase the ability for charities and community groups to provide food where it is needed. This would only cost a small sum relative to the benefit it would yield. The head of BA Food Bank believes this would cost around €250,000 to get off the ground, and I believe he has indicated that there's 100,000 that they've already raised, so that would only need 150,000 to get off the ground. I just wonder, Minister, has the government looked into aiding this fully and funding it, helping them to source the finance, or to take any other type of supportive role? Crosscare runs a small food bank in Dublin.
1 minute.
But the BA Food Bank initiative is for a nationwide scheme. Last month, Aldi said that they had to get rid of 10 million worth of surplus food each year. This is absolutely scandalous. Other supermarkets and factories and other sources have also indicated that they have huge waste. Nationally, it is estimated that 50,000 tonnes of good food is thrown away or fed to animals on a yearly basis. When food poverty is increasing so much, this is a scandal that we haven't managed to source this properly, that we haven't managed to put this in some sort of an order and have a proper distribution of the nature that I've outlined. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Minister Hayes. 4 minutes. Right.
First of all, can I thank Deputy Ellis for raising this very timely, indeed, very important issue in relation to the distribution of surplus food. The Department has been involved for the past number of years in administrating the programme of food aid for deprived people. The programme of food aid for deprived persons was first introduced in 1987 as a reaction to conditions faced by deprived people during a particularly harsh winter. It was designed to release products that were available in community intervention stocks to charitable organisations for free distribution to people in need. Its primary objective was considered to be a social measure, but it also had the effect of reducing the intervention storage for these products that are distributed, which are borne by the EU. For the past number of years, butter, cheese and rice have been distributed to various charities by my department. This year, my department will be distributing cheese, butter and rice to the value of €2.6 million to 563 registered charities. Amongst those in receipt of products are the Dublin-based food bank operated by CrossCare. A number of the charities utilise the product distributed to provide meals for the most deprived in society. In Ireland, the programme is managed at operational level by hundreds of charitable organisations, mainly staffed by volunteers. The charities currently participate in the reception and distribution of foodstuff to deprived people. These organisations play a key role in the implementation of the programme. However, the majority of the charitable organisations using the scheme in Ireland do not have the capacity to store large quantities of products, and therefore the Department, as intervention agencies, arrange for the storing of the foodstuffs in various stores located throughout the country. The charities withdraw quantities of products from the stores as required and approved by the Department. The Deprived programme operates as a stand-alone scheme and is not run in tandem with the national scheme. This will be the last year that the current programme will operate under the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, in line with the expiry of the EU regulation. From 2014, the European Commission has proposed the introduction of a new fund to support the provision of food and consumer products for people who are most deprived. The regulation for this fund has been agreed by the European Parliament, and the Council will be voting on it in February 2014. The Department of Social Protection has begun preparatory work for the introduction of the new fund, which will have a budget of up to €3.5 million when co-funded by the Exchequer is taken, when co-funding is taken into account by the Exchequer. Any proposal for the establishment of a national food bank will come in the first instance from the charitable sector in conjunction with food producers and indeed the retailers. And the Minister for Social Protection and myself welcome indeed any ideas you might have for such a proposal.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Ellis, 2 minutes for your concluding statement.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the Minister. And there's no doubt that there's a huge amount of work done by the charities, and you mentioned the 563 charities delivering different items around, and that's very worthwhile. But it's quite clear that there's a huge loss in terms of where other sources can be got. There are other sources. And as I said, Aldi indicated there that they had to get rid of 10 million worth of surplus food. That to me is scandalous. Now there must be some means of pulling these, whether it's supermarkets, whether it's businesses, whether it's people producing food of all types. There must be some means of putting a register together and pulling this together and getting it out there. But we've all known that, you know, I was out on the soup run and I've seen the problems that we have on the ground. I've also seen the problems that I have in my own constituency office, where people now, with the economic climate it is, some of them are having cornflakes as their main meal. I know it's hard to believe. Some of them are not getting a full meal. And we also have a lot of the cutbacks on the Meals on Wheels in the senior citizens. And I think that these are the places where we need to get the type of food that's required and to get it there for people who are in need of it. I think it's extremely important. And also in the schools where we have children, that are going in and they're malnourished. I think that if this is coordinated much better, we can deliver more, because there is certainly scope to deliver an awful lot more from the information that I have received. I think, Minister, it's clear that the amount of food that's been thrown away in this society, is massive. And there needs to be more. I hear what you're saying about Europe now has a new initiative.
Thank you.
I'm not too clear what that means. There's more money coming in, and whether that will help, in terms of funding and coordinating and bringing more people, more groups on board to try and distribute this and to store it. The storing of food is probably a very, very important issue, that we can hold that food in case of emergency and in case of serious breakdown somewhere along the line.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. 2 minutes.
Briefly, I cannot but agree with what you're saying about the huge amount of food that's been wasted, but consumers are demanding very uniform products to be available in the supermarket. This morning I visited North Dublin, where the horticulture growers up there have a huge problem in relation to many issues with the supermarket. Well, one of the things that they pointed out was the very uniform, for instance, Brussels sprouts, carrots, turnips, anything like that. And there's huge wastage in that. And that material should certainly be looked at, because the food, whether it's a crooked carrot or not, the reality is it's the same quality in the carrot, and people must understand that. And people don't actually, the shoppers don't want to buy it. So we certainly need to look at that. And I think in conjunction with, you asked, you didn't understand what the European directive, but the European Parliament have passed a directive, and it will come here for discussion. I would welcome yours and indeed everyone else's input into it, because it is a huge problem. And if there is really good, top-class food being produced in this country, if people here don't want to buy it, at least it should be made available. And I certainly think that the government will do everything in their power to help, alleviate a problem with food. And I certainly welcome the opportunity here today to clarify exactly where we are. Okay.
Thank you, Minister.